Welcome to Stop Wasting Your Wine, a wine review podcast dedicated to helping you discover great wines with great value for every occasion. I am Joel, and you have found your way to the best damn wine show out there. I am joined, as always, by Colin and Aaron, and tonight we have the honor of being joined by Preston Thomas. He spent more than a decade making high-level wines, including multiple 90-plus ratings and even a perfect 100. His wines have been poured at the White House and shared at some of the most exclusive tables across wine, sports, and culture. And now he's taking that experience in a different direction with Tirage. The idea is pretty simple, guys. Take the quality and care that goes into fine winemaking and bring it into everyday life. The couch, the beach, a weeknight when you just want a glass without overthinking it. Preston, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
We have been looking forward to it for a long time. Aaron is proudly displaying the cans of your wine.
Canned wine again. I'm excited.
And I think, Preston, you know, the reason that we're so excited to have you on here too is, and we're going to get into this too in a little bit. So I'm not going to, you know, get into too much of everything here, but just even in the intro there, so much of what we're about here, making wine accessible, making it easy to get into, taking out the mystique and the, you know, the nerves, I guess, right, of getting into wine and just making it easy to get to. So we're excited to hear more about that and just kind of hear how you got to that path. So Colin and Aaron, how are you guys? I feel like we haven't heard from you yet.
We've had good experience with canned wine.
We have.
Yeah.
The Bomdia was great.
We had Bomdia, Brazilian bubbles. We had Winemaker on here, and that was great. And I feel like, people rag on canned wine out there in the wine elitist world, and we have not had that experience yet. We've had a great experience with canned wine, so we're excited to get more of that.
For sure.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, that makes my life a little bit easier, right? Like, normally I talk about canned wine. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm starting this canned wine brand, and people are like, what? Like, just try it. Like, before you turn your nose up at it, just try it. So yeah, it's nice to hear like that other side for once. Like, oh yeah, no, we have great experiences with canned wines. Like, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure. And there's definitely space for canned wine, right? I think the biggest issue for a product like this is education. People just, it's not normal, right? Like it's a little far out of what people expect wine to be, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. I think we've had a great experience with canned wine, and I think there's a lot of room for wine to grow into that ready to drink type of packaging. So excited to get into this one tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think on that note, like, screw caps 15, 20 years ago were like a weird kind of taboo thing in packaging of wine.
Sure.
And, then Australia like staked their claim on it and like Penfolds put some of their best stuff into screw cap, and now it's kind of universally accepted. So, let's keep pushing that envelope in packaging and make it optional, make packaging something that's pretty cool.
Completely agree. Okay, we're going to get into all of this. Preston, I want to learn all about kind of that mindset. I want to learn about what led you down that kind of that path. But before we get into that, let's learn a little bit about you, Preston. So, tell us a bit about how you just got into kind of wine in general, wine making, and what ultimately led you to starting Tirage.
So I grew up, born and raised in East Tennessee. And to a family that ran moonshine, and scotch was the primary alcoholic beverage. Amazing. So wine was not like a thing, my mom, like she got down with like Fetzer Gewürztraminer, back in like the early 2000s, like that was it. But I actually got into wine in college, again, in Tennessee. And it was let's be an optimist here, a half full box of Franzia White Zen.
Nice.
Right? So
great first step.
Thankfully, I didn't have the palate for it, right? And so, naturally, it wasn't so much that I thought the wine was like this life-altering experience. It was the moment. It was a conversation. My wife probably hates when I tell this part, but it was with the girl I was dating at the time. And so we were like, I think we started tapping into this box at like 10:30 at night. And next thing you know, it's like 6:30, 7 a.m. Everyone's waking up. The sun is coming up, and we've just finished off the box. And it's like, oh, dude, like what a dope kind of situation, like but here we are, like having this awesome conversation.
Yeah.
And wine was kind of the reason that we ended up in this situation. And so from there, I kind of got into wine, just whatever you can try to ball on a budget with in college. But the
Yes.
plan for me was always to be a trauma surgeon. And so
Wow.
I was full steam ahead on that.
Uh
Thankfully saw the light
huh.
and kind of abandoned that whole situation right after I graduated undergrad.
Mhm.
And naturally it was an oh shit moment. Like, what am I going to do now? I never had a plan B. It was always go to med school, be a trauma surgeon.
Sure.
And so a friend was like, well, dude, you like wine, you have a science background. Why not get into making wine? And I
Smart.
think my response was like, I didn't know you could make money making wine. And it turns
Mhm.
out you can't. But you live a rich life, so that's kind of nice. So I kind of started looking at options. How do you get into the wine industry? How do you start making wine? Like, is there a school you can go to, like School of Hard Knocks? What is it?
Yeah.
And I chose the School of Hard Knocks route. I just, went on winejobs.com and found some internships, applied, and I applied to this place called Preston Winery is in Sonoma. And I thought I'd have a really good shot because,
Yeah.
we have the same name. That didn't turn out, but
It didn't work.
no, it didn't work. I never
probably
actually
get-
like connected with them either. That's kind of annoying. I should do that.
They probably get 200 resumes a month from people with the same idea. I would do the same thing, by the way. If there was a Joel winery out there, I'd be all over it.
Yeah, you should apply to Joel Got Wines.
Yeah, you
Oh,
should.
that's true. I guess I should.
Well,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
Well, maybe not.
So yeah, dude. So I accepted an internship. Didn't know anything about regions. Yeah. Obviously, I knew Napa. I knew a little about Sonoma, but I accepted a position in Amador County in the Sierra Foothills. And the only reason I accepted it was because they offered housing.
Yeah.
So I packed up everything that was the most meaningful of my life at the time. Clothes and then my golf clubs,
Yeah.
and just drove out to California. And when I got out there,
Wow.
I somehow got lost around Auburn, California, and I was like 2 hours late. And so the GM of the winery she was the one that had to stay and wait for me, and she was pissed.
Oh, no.
And so we
Brutal.
walked back through the cellar, and it's like my first time ever walking into a barrel room. And of course, I make a comment. I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I'm like 23 years old. I'm like,
Sure.
oh my God, it smells amazing in here. And she's like, yeah, you'll get used to it. Let me just show you where you're going to stay. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm going to go fuck myself. Like, sorry. So she takes me back to where the housing is. And we
Yeah.
kind of like walk through the crush pad and all that stuff. And it's dark outside. And she like turns on a flashlight and she shines it at this camper. She's like, this is where you'll be staying. I was like, oh, word? Like, this is actually kind of dope. So I lived in a camper in the back corner of a vineyard for like 5 months, which was super cool. And I was an intern my first 2 weeks there. The
Yeah.
winemaker wanted me, he wanted to like test me to make sure like I wasn't out here just, whatever, checking a box or doing something
Sure.
stupid.
Yeah.
So every morning and every night I had to walk around the property with a bucket of citric sulfur solution and a toothbrush and scrape bird poop off the sidewalk because the owner made his fortune in property management and real estate. So like the appearance of the property is very important to him.
Oh my
And so for
God.
2 weeks, like that was my like talk about grunt work, man.
Yeah.
But you just suck it up and do it. And from there I got into a full-time seller position and ended up at a place called Rouge, which was awesome place. I don't have enough great things to say about that place. They're still fond friends of mine. But it's where I
Nice.
learned how to work in the wine industry, where I learned how to make great wine, and where I think really my philosophy of winemaking really started to take shape.
Man.
And then from there, I think I annoyed the right people with the right questions
Yeah.
and just kind of climbed the ladder, I guess, and found myself in Northern Virginia at a place called Stone Tower, and the director of winemaking and viticulture there, and met my wife there. We had our kids, and
Wow.
then in 2023, our son was 5 months old during harvest. So Allie, my wife, was working full time and taking care of both kids, while like the typical harvest widow. I'm sure you guys have heard that term before.
I actually haven't,
and-
but yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's like this idea that like, when harvest is there, the winemaker is kind of married to the vines, the fruit, the harvest, and
Sure.
like the spouse. You're married, but you never see your
Yeah.
spouse.
Brutal.
Oh
Yeah,
my
makes
gosh.
sense.
And so it's like some random Tuesday night, and the kids were being 5 years and 5 months old. They're just being
Yeah,
kids
totally.
and having a hard time going down for bed. And she finally gets them down. It's like 9:30. She texts me like, dude, are you going to be home anytime soon? Like, I need a glass of wine. Like, I need air to breathe. The kids have been
Yeah.
on one. And, harvest, it's 15-hour days are not uncommon. And that just so happened to be
Sure.
one of those days. I was like, no, I don't, but like, feel free to open up a bottle. And she said, well, dude, I don't want to open up a bottle. It's like a Tuesday night. Like we're not in college anymore. And I don't plan on drinking it until the weekend again. So it can go bad. And so our daughter was into the little mini cans of Sprite at the
Yeah.
time. And so Hallie was like, why don't you guys just package the same wine that you make into a bottle? Why don't you put that into a can? And I'm not going to lie, at first I
Brilliant.
turned my nose up to it. I was like, that's
Yeah.
bullshit. Like, it's canned wine. Nobody would ever do that.
Uh-huh.
And so the next spring, we found ourselves moving down here to Orlando for Allie's job.
Uh-huh.
And, it's not like Florida is known for their bustling grape growing and winemaking
Sure.
industry.
Yeah.
We are not.
You know what I mean? Like, unless I
Yeah.
wanted to dabble in muscadine, which, more
Right.
power to them, but it's not my thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, I found myself in one of those oh shit moments. What am I going to do with my life? And Allie was just like, why don't you start a brand? Why don't you start your own wine brand? But what about the can thing? So I thought
Mhm.
about it a little bit more and was like, dude, this would actually be pretty cool. Like, what's to say you can't put really good wine into a can? And that's kind of how we got to Tirage and where we are today.
There's two really awesome things that stick out that I just want to call out here. First, we've been fortunate to have a couple of winemakers on the show, and all different sorts of ways that they got into wine. I think yours will be the most relatable. People listening will be like, I remember my first box of Franzia. Like that's amazing. And I just want to confirm. So when you decided you knew you liked science, you knew you liked wine, but you decided to go and try to make a thing of it. You didn't have any, at that time, like formal training or anything like that, right? You knew you had an interest and you had a desire to get into it, and you went out and you went for it. Is that correct?
Yeah, man. I mean,
Bold.
call it
I love it.
willful ignorance or whatever you want
Yeah.
to call it, man. Like, I do it when I moved out there, like, not thinking it would ever be anything more than, just for harvest. So I
Yeah.
intentionally didn't pack a lot. Like, I had
Gotcha.
a motorcycle in Tennessee,
Yeah.
but I still have, and I've never ridden it in the 12 years I've been doing this because I legitimately didn't think I would be in California longer than that harvest.
Wow.
I ended up living out there for like 4 years.
You kind of mentioned it, but the idea of wine in a can is pretty, well, I will say not as unique as it used to be, but it still faces a lot of resistance, right? So what did you see when you decided to put premium wine in a can, and how are you trying to change the perception of canned wine?
Yeah, I'm trying to change the perception in the sense of like, I think I don't think they're wrong for having the preconceived notion that canned wine is inferior to bottled wine. But I think like you were saying at the beginning of the show, there's a lot of room for canned wine. There's a lot of room for alternative packaging. And I think the biggest part of it is just getting people to try it, getting them to say or just to realize for themselves, like, oh, the packaging, the vessel doesn't matter. What really matters is
Yeah.
what's inside of it. And yeah, to be fair, there are bad canned wines out there, but I think we can also argue there are bad wines that are put into glass bottles as well.
Totally fair.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What?
Like,
Been there.
You can't
Nope.
argue with
Been
that.
there.
Yeah.
Oh.
and I think that's kind of like my punchline, when I'm talking about the Tirage and introducing the idea of canned wine to people for the first time. It's like, I understand your preconceived notions, but just
Yeah.
try it, like understand that the vessel is not really bound by tradition. Like we respect tradition. Like we absolutely love our bottled
Mhm.
wines, and we realize there are things that we are not able to do with canned wine that you can do with bottled wine. But
Hmm.
Sure.
I do think, there is an opportunity there, and the biggest opportunity is it opens up more occasions for wine to show up, especially where life is actually lived.
I don't know if you noticed, but in the middle of your answer, Aaron cracked a can. I think he just could not wait any longer. He cracked
Mr.
one, and
Mr. I'm gonna wait till the end.
if
no,
I heard
right.
correctly too, he took a sip and went, "Oh."
Yeah, no, I was trying to. I was actually trying to do it in between. I just wasn't fast enough because I wanted to have mine open because and you kind of answered part of my question because I was going to ask about like quality versus convenience because we did do a canned wine review way back. I think in like our first like 10 episodes. Like
Yeah, you're right.
and it was I won't call back the name. It was I think one of the bigger mass produced ones, and we were not super impressed by it. But to your point of there can be not great wines in any container, right?
Yeah.
We've had lots of not great wines in bottles. You know, and it is about production. It's about the quality of the product inside the bottle itself. So when you are making decisions, what is the quality level that you are looking for of your wine? So when you're talking to people about premium wine in your can, like how would you compare? Like what are you actually shooting for when you're talking to folks? Like we can talk about like good wine in a can all day long, but like how would you compare that when you're talking to folks about like the level of wine that you are putting out there?
I think this kind of gets like in a weird spot for me because it almost feels like I'm self-promoting. But it's
Self-promote,
the
man.
s-
That's why you're here.
Like,
That's what
it's
you're
a
supposed to
weird
do.
thing for me, you know what I mean?
Give
Like
me the
there's a reason
self-promotion.
I worked in the cellar, aka the basement of wineries, just because like, oh, I don't really have to talk to people about myself. But I think for me, like I grew up, I came up through the industry. Like I think I've worked at a lot of really great wineries and worked for a lot of really great brands that, they have the accolades, they have the reputation. And I think for me, I wanted to be able to create something that measured up to the standard that I think all of these other brands that I've been fortunate enough to work at throughout my career that they're held to as well. So I think for me it's doesn't matter whether it's going into a can or whether it's going into a bottle. For me,
Yeah.
the quality still has to be there. And I think a lot of what that means for me, especially in this project with Tirage, is I had a goal in mind for not just the vessel, but what I wanted the wine to be. We wanted them to be aromatic. We wanted them to be pretty, expressive, bright. We wanted them to be crisp with like a nice acidic backbone. And more importantly, not bitter on the finish. And I think that is really, those are the indicators I was looking to fill and check with the Tirage wines on a quality perspective. But the quality came first, and then the vessel, the can, kind of came after that. Like it doesn't matter what the vessel is. If the quality's not there, the vessel is irrelevant.
And where in that too, because there's the quality, there's the vessel, and then one of the things that we know is important to Tirage as well is lowering waste and reducing the carbon footprint. And so, kind of where in the whole process and coming up with this idea did that kind of fit in? Was this something that you wanted to kind of focus and have be a core pillar of Tirage from the beginning, or did you kind of find as you were going like, hey, this practice actually really lends itself to reducing that carbon footprint as well?
It's something we kind of found along the way. Tirage was originally started as we want a single serve option for Tuesday night when the kids are being like crazy, and then it kind of morphed into, other use cases like, oh, dude, the beach would be great, the pool, the lake.
Yep.
And then, around that same time, it was like, oh, well, shit, like the aluminum cans are not nearly as heavy as glass. Not to mention glass is not as recyclable as I feel like we were led to believe it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, true.
Like a lot of, cities, towns, states, whatever, they have glass recycling programs, but it's not as sustainable if the infrastructure is even there. And that's not something I found out until like 6 months into doing Tirage. But then, not even wasting, a consumer's money. Again, like how many times have you opened a bottle of wine and just had one glass, didn't get back to it. By the time you finally got back to it, it was it was oxidized. It started turning into vinegar, whatever. And you poured it down
Yeah.
the drain and you're like, I mean, damn, like I just spent
Mhm.
all this money on this bottle of wine and now it's down the drain. So it's wasteful. So
For
it kind
sure.
of came along, I guess, kind of congruently, but it wasn't the initial thing where we were like, oh, we want to make a super eco-friendly wine brand. Like we were just trying to solve like a personal need for us,
Hmm.
my wife and I, where it's like we just want one glass at a time,
Hmm.
which I guess, the cans are a glass and a half equivalent. But yeah, along the
Sometimes
way,
you need a
it's,
glass and a half.
man, it's
Exactly.
like it rounds off the night, But yeah, I think now that we've kind of come to that iteration of Tirage, where we're like, oh wow, this is actually a very sustainable way to
Hmm.
package wine. Like we're really into that too. It's no secret that the wine industry has fallen on some difficult times.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that conversation about sustainability is coming up in all corners of the industry.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, my winemaking philosophy is that great wine is grown in a vineyard, not made in a cellar. So that naturally kind of feeds me into being a little bit more eco-minded. So if we can
Love that.
provide great wine, 1.5 glasses at a time, and also reduce our carbon footprint, cool. Like I think we just checked 3 pretty dope boxes.
And you said something earlier. You said wine for the life you actually live. And I think that's really cool. And I'd like to explore that a little bit. So can you tell me just kind of where that comes from, what that means, and how that relates to Tirage?
Yeah, I mean, so when I was like coming up in the industry, getting my feet wet, learning, which end of a hose goes on the pump and which end goes to the tank and all that stuff. Um, I was very fortunate to make a lot of friends in California, in Amador County, and there's a group of 4 friends, Art, Eric, Adam, and Lorenzo, and we all were kind of coming up in the industry at the same time. And we all lived in Amador County, and there's nothing to do in Amador County, like just absolutely nothing. So we would all meet up at Andis Wines after work. We were all working at different places at this time. We'd all meet up at Andis, and we had like kind of these responsibilities. Like somebody would go to the butcher, somebody would go to the grocery store to get sides, somebody would source the wine, and somebody would bring beer or whatever else.
Mhm.
And we would hang out at the crush pad and just grill and share
Mm.
wines, talk about wines. Inevitably,
That's
it
awesome.
always ended up like, especially Eric and I, like we'd sit up on the top of tanks, like, maybe a little on the, not drunk, but, feeling pretty decent,
Sure.
buzzed,
Yeah.
if you will. But like we would just talk about, winemaking theory, what our goals were for the industry, like how we would want to make an impact. And so I think from the very beginning for me in this industry, I always saw wine as being something that just naturally fit into everyday life.
Mm.
But the more I got into the wine industry, and I think the more like the higher I kind of climbed that ladder in production, I started feeling a bit of a disconnect with that.
Mm.
And I think I started to feel that wine had become a little bit too stuffy in the sense of, a lot of people associate wine with going to the tasting room, dressing up nice,
Yeah.
or the fancy dinner party. And you kind of look around and you're like, okay, are, unless you're wealthy enough to not have to worry about menu prices or anything like that, which, you know, yeah, occasionally, yeah, we can ball out like that, but not every day. Like that's not
Yeah.
everyday life.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyday life is, wrestling the tiny human kids into PJs for bed, or, enjoying the pool or going to the lake or a picnic.
Hmm.
Like I said, I'm a big golfer, so like, oh, dude, how dope would it be to have a glass of wine on the golf course? And
Hmm.
anytime you'd ask like the beverage cart about it, they're like, dude, a bottle of wine and a beverage cart sounds terrible. I'm like, yeah, I agree. So like that's what I mean by like real life, like it's the kind of Monday through Friday and like the fun outdoor kind of adventure parts of your weekend where,
Hmm.
it's not kind of the stage perfection, but it's more the good, the bad, and the ugly. The life you live every single day that isn't necessarily put on Instagram. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yep.
Like no shade towards Instagram, but like the whole social media aspects, it's like, God, come on,
Yeah.
man.
No,
You know,
but
for
also
sure.
those moments are the ones that make up 80% of it. You know,
Yeah.
those little ones are the core of it at the end of the day. So
For sure.
I love the idea of, now pairing and meeting at those moments, because that's it.
Yeah.
That's the majority of it, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, for reference, our daughter plays softball now, and it's like, I guess we've fully committed to the 8U softball life.
Ooh, you're in.
And so, yeah, dude, I low key love it though. Like
Yeah.
I help coach, and I'm like, all right, this is kind of
Nice.
cool. I feel like, dude, I'm like the third base coach. I'm like, just go home, run home. Like we're playing 8U.
Just
There's
waving
going
them
to be an
around.
error. Just run home, get the run. Uh, but so my wife organized for our daughter's softball team to go to the UCF softball game on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
cool.
And they played Kansas, and like they're both ranked, which is pretty dope.
That
And
is,
so
yeah.
we decided to tailgate beforehand, and I was like, oh, dude, this is like a perfect use case for really good canned wine. And it ended up
Absolutely.
being great. Like we were passing out canned wine to everyone at the tailgate, and they were like,
Oh
dude,
my
I
God.
never thought about bringing wine to a tailgate, but this makes so much sense. So I was like,
Man.
oh, dude, that's like a nice kind of validation of like, yeah, this is like one of those real life moments of like wine can actually show up where life is lived instead of us having to go to wine, you know?
I love that.
Because the wine
Also-
industry just so stuffy. It has the air of pretentiousness. So to see a brand and a wine that really looking to kind of tear that apart and just be just good everyday wine, I think is important, especially with the hit, as we kind of mentioned, that the wine industry is going through right now. I think they need a little bit more of that fun and a little bit less of that stuffy.
Yeah, and not to say like I love a fancy high-end dinner. Like
Sure.
take me to Burns over in Tampa, dude, I'm going to be happy.
Absolutely.
You know, absolutely. Like I still love going to Napa, I
Yeah.
love that a lot. Like shout out Jim Dwayne, right?
Yeah.
I
good
love
boy.
going to CV, man. I love losing cell phone service when you're going out to CV and you're just like, dude, I'm out here with the cows today. Like we're hanging out. But it's not everyday life, and I think, it all kind of comes back to we just wanted something to kind of fit into our everyday life without having to worry about compromising on quality.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think you kind of alluded to it earlier. And, we've gone to a couple, wine kind of conferences now that everyone's just talking about how do you connect to the next generation of wine drinkers? How do we get people buying wine again? How do we, and like, this is the kind of thing, right? Like you have to make wine accessible again. You have to let, the next generation of wine drinkers have their own version of wine. And, when you're talking about tailgating and stuff like that, now I would caution, this is a very nice drinkable can. What's the alcohol content on this one can of wine, my friend?
12%.
Yeah. So not gonna
Proceed with caution.
It hits quit.
So-
In all honesty, I got caught up in that. So like right after we canned, I had a case of each sent to our house to like share with friends and family. And
Yeah.
so naturally I share with Allie first, and we're sitting out by the pool. And we have 3 cans, like between the two of us.
Yeah.
And we drank through all 3 cans and stood up and like, oh, I feel this.
You're like, oh, hey now.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, you didn't tell me it went down so easy. I was like, yeah, it kind of does, huh?
Yeah. Because I was getting to these, but my brain was saying, I'm like, oh, you know what? I feel like seltzers kind of came out of like your average, like not beer drinker, wine drinker needing something else in like the picnic outdoor tailgating world. And like, man, if you can like have like a canned wine, like there's a lot of like people who went into seltzers who'd probably prefer like this, but they also have to be like, you get one of these,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you got to go back to seltzer.
Or just, be careful. Live your life. Nobody else is going to tell you to.
Exactly. It's like sip responsibly, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's fun in that sense, and I do like that with the cans, you don't have to commit to
Yeah.
anything more than the glass and a half right there.
Yeah,
It's in your hand.
sure. For
Like
sure.
you can pivot, and like frankly, that's what I was doing on Saturday. Like obviously I'm a beer guy too. Like it takes a lot of beer to make good wine.
Yeah.
So, like
It's a great
I
share.
get burnt out on it,
Yeah.
just like I get burnout on seltzers and sometimes,
Sure.
well, not really wine, but it's nice to be able to bounce between and not have to worry about, oh, I've got this half empty bottle that, if I have to pour it down the drain, I feel like I wasted my $50.
I love that
100%.
concept.
100%.
I love that
You know?
concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess kind of to the point there too, it was like the stuffiness of wine. Like at the end of the day, wine is just fermented grape juice that we do dope shit with. And it shouldn't really be anything more than that. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be stuffy and pretentious. Like it can
Preston.
literally just be fermented grape juice that we're doing dope shit with, right?
I know you have a marketing group, but put that on a fucking t-shirt
Yeah.
right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
I
And
want
you
to
will
so
sell
badly.
so many.
Yeah. I think we just found our episode title.
Yeah.
I think
easily.
you've had like 4 or 5 very t-shirtable lines this episode, man. We're gonna send this back to you and just like make sure you like
Yeah.
write those down.
100%.
Absolutely.
You got
That's
a lot
so
of
good.
brand gear out of this episode
Dude,
so
the
far.
crazy thing is like I feel like this is stuff I've been saying my entire career, and now that I have my own brand, I kind of feel like I can actually say it
Brilliant.
without getting a call from the owner. Like that's not how
Yeah.
we want to represent our brand. I'm like, oh, well,
It's you.
this is me now. We can do
Yeah,
whatever we want.
you got to call yourself and put it on a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, listen, this is amazing. Always so cool to learn about, the winemaker, and so cool to hear your story, Preston. Thanks for sharing that with us. We're talking about the wine meeting us where we are. I think we should exemplify that right now. Let's go ahead. Let's get into these wines. I'm excited to hear about them on this end. All right. So we are going to go ahead and jump into these wines here. I will just be facilitating today, listener. I am traveling and didn't get a chance to get my hands on these wines, so I will be very jealous over here hearing about these wines while the other gentlemen here get to actually experience them. So without further ado, Preston, I know that you provided a couple of wines for us, and we're going to be trying 2 today, a red and a white. So if you don't mind, if you want to just give us a little explanation of each one and tell us where you want us to start.
Yeah, so let's start with the white cap. It's our bubbly white. Again, falling into that idea, like we wanted all 3 of these wines to just be aromatically pretty, bright, and with that like really nice crisp finish. So the blend is about 60% Sauvignon Blanc and then 40% Muscat Canelli. And I think one of the cool things that we were able to do or learn about with cans is like how aromatics pop out of a can. And I was really focused on that when it was kind of first explained to me, like you really have to focus on the aromatics out of the can because that's what leads people in. Like, oh, that makes sense. So let's make them very aromatically pretty. So yeah, that was the idea here. It's sparkling, so I don't know, everyone loves sparkling, and plus I think for me it was one of those like, okay, if it's in a can, I kind of need it to have some carbonation to it.
Sure.
I've since gotten over that. Maybe that's another part of the educational aspect of it. But all of our wine, the fruit comes from Lake and Sonoma counties and is made in Sonoma County by a good friend of mine named Chris Christensen.
Great name.
Yeah, he's he and I we're homies now, and we have a lot of stuff in common. But more importantly, he really knows how to do canned wine stuff, and he's been clutch in showing me the ropes for canned wine and all the nuances that go into it. But yeah,
Amazing.
White Cap is it's personally my favorite. I love White Cap a lot. I like that it goes down easy and that it just meets those goals exactly how I wanted it to meet.
Nice. Love it. All right. So maybe what we can do here is, Colin, Aaron, I would love to just, we'll do it kind of the typical way we go. Tell me a little bit about what you're experiencing on the nose. Then I'll ask you a little bit about, what you're getting on the palate. And then Preston, if there's anything that you think that we missed or anything else that you want to call out, we can totally raise those up too. But Colin, I'll go to you first, man. Just tell us a little bit about the experience.
Yeah, no, it's cool you said aromatic out of the can, and that was something that you thought about, because that's definitely one of those things, I think, and maybe one of the barriers to canned wine too, is if you're drinking out of a can, a huge part of the wine drinking experience is the nose, right? That's where all the flavor comes from. And this wine is incredibly expressive out of a can. I was shocked by the amount of flavor, just like going to take a sip, the amount of flavor you get is almost, and I'm also drinking it out of a glass, you get almost the same level of intensity out of the can than you do out of the glass, which is really cool. I think the fact you were able to do that is pretty impressive.
Cool. Thank you.
And as far as it smells like summer on a beach. It's citrusy. There's a little bit of like orange tangerine in there. There's maybe a little bit of peach on the back end, and then some like lemon lime in there as well.
Yes, Preston, I wanted to ask too, like, what is your preference? Do you pour it into a glass or do you prefer to drink it out of the can?
So, living in Orlando, of course, we have a pool in our backyard. And with two young kids, we're always out by the pool. And if we're not at the pool, we're at the beach or out on the golf course. So I prefer it out of can just because of the convenience. But I have poured it into glass before.
I mean, I guess the reason I wonder if you had a preference because, I had poured both of them and kind of going back and forth. And I'm actually like really enjoying it out of the can. I don't know why. Like, I think maybe it's just like the natural, just like having it. And I feel like the carbonation is just kind of a little bit more just like focused. But just from the aromatic standpoint, I agree with everything Colin said. I'm also getting like a little bit of a floral note off the top that I think is really, really nice along with that too.
Cool.
Not much to add besides everything Colin said, but I think, I don't know, just you said Sauvignon Blanc. What was the second one you said?
Muscat Canelli.
Muscat Canelli. I feel like that's one of my cousins.
Oh, Muscat Canelli. Yeah.
But yeah, and so this is, I think there's a lot on here I don't normally associate with Sauvignon Blanc. So that must be that second varietal, which is one I've never heard of. So fantastic for that. We got a new one. Check it off the list.
Very cool.
Yeah, a lot of really cool stuff.
All right, so let's go ahead and give this thing a full try here as well. Aaron, on the palate after you take a sip, talk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, two really important notes. One, definitely getting, I think, man, a lot of what Colin name is there, but I think a little bit more of the peach and a little bit more of it's less, I think, more like acidic citrus that we get of the Sauvignon Blanc. Like that's less of the forward and more of the kind of just like juicier, peachier kind of fruit. I don't know, Colin, you can probably put that in a better verbiage than my bad second grader palate can. But I see you're nodding, so I think you know what I'm trying to say. But it's not as like punch in your face citrusy as I think Sauvignon Blanc normally is, which is really nice. It has like much more of like a full body hug that I'm really enjoying. The second thing I want to name is my wine is gone, which is concerning.
It goes down quick, right?
Yeah, I think it's my can speed. I think I drink beverages out of a can at a much higher velocity as I normally do.
Yeah, I agree. There is a lot more of that peach, and the one note that keeps coming back to me, and maybe, Aaron, what you're referring to is more like the lemon you usually get from a Sauvignon Blanc is very lemon forward. This is more orangey to me, almost tangerine-y. It still has some of that lemon in there too, but this is more that orange citrus fruit than anything else. But I think, Aaron, the floral note you called out on the smell is a great call. That's in there too. And the one thing that really stands out for me is the acid. I mean, this is just a wonderfully refreshing sip with the bubbles and the acidity and all of that really nice citrus with the peach, the juicy peach note in there. Juicy was a good word too, Aaron. Just a wonderfully refreshing sip. It also, I said it smells like you're on the beach. It just tastes like you should be relaxing, nice. And, it has that vibe to it. And it's really, really wonderful.
All right, Preston, how we do? Anything we missed that you want to call out on that one?
No, you guys are saying I've been giving out like t-shirt slogans the whole night. I'm thinking like, damn, man, I want to get these clips and like put these on social media like that. Like those are awesome descriptors. Yeah. Like it's one thing for me to, say what I think about the wine, but like when it's people like you all that, you know your way around a glass or a can of wine. Mike, and you're saying some really cool stuff about it. I'm like, oh, dude, fuck yeah. Like, we might be onto something. You're like, this is awesome.
Definitely.
So, no, I'm glad you guys liked it. And, like, yeah, it's just, it kind of gives me that validation that the wines check the box that we wanted it to check.
For sure. All right. So, maybe we can move on in. And can you tell us a little bit about the red, Preston?
Yes. So, when we decided to do a red, I wanted to do a still red wine. And I want it to be chillable. So that's where the name Still Chill kind of comes from.
Okay.
And so when we're thinking about what this wine was supposed to be, you were like, okay, you're outside by the beach, by the pool, on the boat. It's somewhere outside. You know, like we were living in Orlando at the time, and it's like you guys know, Orlando is just hot and less hot.
Yeah.
That's right.
So like,
That's
you
right.
know, if you're outside in Orlando and you want to have a good wine, what does that wine taste like? And immediately it was like, all right, bright red fruit. We want it to be, you know, the tannins cannot be high. Like it can't be astringent. It can't be drying. It's got to be refreshing. It's got to have a juiciness kind of thing going on to it. And so that was our goal with that. The varietals are Petit Syrah, Merlot, and Zinfandel.
Wow.
None of those
Wow.
three lend itself to any of those goals I just described.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, how do you get the tannin out of that?
That's such an interesting
crazy.
blend.
Yeah, so and I think this is kind of the thing that I'm really hoping sets Tirage apart from the other canned wine brands. Is like we were very intentional in knowing that this is a red wine that's going to go into a can to fill a very specific occasion of being outside. And so we were very mindful of the pick date, the acid that the grapes had, and then in the cellar, it was very important for us to really stay on top of the extraction and maceration because we didn't want it to go too heavy, especially in cans where, you know, in a bottle, whether it's cork or screw cap, you get that oxygen ingress. And this is kind of where, you know, I get a little nerdy. Like at the end of the day, I'm still a winemaker. You get that oxygen ingress. You don't get that in a can. You know, there's zero redox potential in a can. So how that wine goes into a can is exactly how it's going to come out. So we know we don't have the luxury of, you know, the tannins kind of mellowing out in the can. So we really had to be proactive and stay on top of that with that intention of knowing we're going into a can. So yeah, and I think hopefully we accomplished that goal too.
Such a cool and unique blend and such an interesting way of trying to hit that goal with that blend. And I'm just, I can't wait to hear. So I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to start with you this time, Aaron. Tell me about what you're getting on the nose.
Sure. First, I just want to say, like, one thing I just want to name, like, what you just described, I think, is the biggest difference between, on everything we've just said about the difference between, like, what makes bad wine in a bottle, you know, and or bad wine in a can or bad wine anywhere, right? It's just like that level of specificity and care, like that's not anywhere in a big brand, mass produced, nothing. Like, we're going to focus on not having tannins, and we're going to do that by thinking about the harvest date, extraction, like making, like that just cannot exist in like a soulless large sheen, right? And
Yes.
so, and then thinking about like some of the other large brand like canned wine groups, like, and people are thinking about how that, you mentioned you don't want to have that bitter aftertaste that sometimes gets associated. Like, again, you guys are just defeating all of that with your super focus on exactly what you're trying to get out of it. So it's, again, like, hats off to you. Like, you're looking at this with a premium wine lens, and so you're getting that out with that. So very, very cool. I just wanted to name that. As I was listening, I was like, oh, that's extremely different and more focused than a lot of, you know, very big name traditional wineries out there.
I like how he has a name that is on the tip of his tongue, but he's
trying to throw it. Yeah,
holding
he doesn't
it
want to throw
back.
anybody under the bus.
And
Yeah.
I respect that,
very
Aaron.
nice
That's cool.
right now. I've grown as an individual over the past 3 years. So that being said, I think the first thing I'm really getting on those is cherry. Like, that's just like a really nice one I'm getting on the top, which, again, like, I don't always get that, like, on our Zinfandels and Merlots, but it's coming like right up top, and it's really nice.
Colin?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think cherry, absolutely. I think also it's just really a nice bouquet of light, crisp red fruit. You know, I'm getting some strawberries, some cranberry. You know, it's light. And then there's also, I'm picking up maybe a little floral aspect in this one too. It's not as florally as the white wine, but there's definitely a little bit of that in there. Is that too far off base, Preston?
No, look, at the end of the day, like, you know, again, wine is just for me a grape juice that we do dope shit with. I firmly believe that the power of suggestion is very strong in wine, especially in how people describe wine. You know, and like, I never like to describe what I get out of a wine before someone else tastes it, because
Sure.
I think, we all see color differently, like
Mm-hmm.
we all taste differently as well. We all have different sensory thresholds for all the different compounds.
Love
And
that.
I think it's very important, again, talking about lowering that barrier of entry to wine. I think it's so important that the wine industry, we can keep the jargon, sure, we can keep how we describe wine, but we don't have to be like, oh, well, I get this and I'm the winemaker, so you must too. Like, no,
Yeah.
dude, like it's your palate. Like if you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay. However you want to describe the wine, however is most comfortable for you is perfectly okay. So
Love that.
however you want to describe it is how you want to describe it, like it's your palate, it's your experience. And nobody can take that away from you, right?
Damn right.
100%.
Well, with that in mind, you guys take a sip, and then Colin, I want to know what you're getting on the palate.
Really cool, because those 3 heavy tannin grapes, there is still tannin in here. There's no doubt. It's red wine. You still get a little bit of grip, but it's not the one thing you notice. It's there. It's nice. It's really enjoyable. But, you would expect, if you were to just tell me that blend, what the tannin profile would be, you would think just punch in the face with tannin. And it is absolutely not that. It's light. It's fun. It's the acid is really nice. As far as flavors are concerned, I think all the red fruit comes through, and you're definitely getting that nice cranberry is the one that I get the most, and then some nice strawberry and some cherry on the back end, and a little bit of that floralness I still think comes through on the palate.
Aaron, what do you think?
I'm trying to think. I agree 100% with everything Colin's named as far as individual flavors, and I think the way this wine has allowed these 3 red wines to somehow approach the world of being called a porch pounder somehow. You never think that would be possible, but here we are with a
Preston's done it.
Merlot, a Zin, and what was the third?
Merlot's and Petit Syrah.
And a Petit Syrah in a can together that I kind of want to drink next to a pool.
Yeah.
And that's and done all very intentionally, but it's something about the way it's all kind of come out, and again, like meant to be chilled with the tannins all cooled off, and it's just very nice and very smooth and very enjoyable, and like the light red fruit all kind of doing their job, and the acidity, and they're just very like all kind of working together in a way that I just kind of want to drink this on a hot day with varietals I never thought I'd say that with.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And once again,
Nah, that's
incredibly
what's up.
jealous. Preston, anything we missed on that one, man?
No, like as I just said, man,
Yeah.
your palate, your experience is solely and squarely yours. Like whether you love the wine or didn't love it, like all that matters is your own opinion, and nobody can take that away from you. I don't think you guys missed anything. I have nothing to add to it. I'm just glad to hear that once again, the style that we were trying to accomplish, like it seems like we've nailed that.
100%.
It's very easy for me to say that we did, but I mean, shit. Kind of don't get high off your own supply kind of thing. But it's nice to hear that other people think, can actually articulate that, you guys, that we accomplished that goal. So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Again, the only thing that's cooler than drinking fun, good, interesting wine is talking to the person that made it, hearing about it while we're doing that. So just for us, one of the coolest experiences, and thanks so much for just kind of, sharing your thoughts on the wines, on your background, all that good stuff. So at this point, guys, I think there's only one big thing left to do, and that's let's go ahead and give this thing a review. All right, everybody. So as a reminder, on this show, we don't really believe in numbers when we're talking about wine. We believe in the experience that we're having with the wine. So when we review a wine, we place it into one of these categories. We have our must shares. These are wines that are exceptionally good bottles of wine that have something extra special that deserves to be shared. We have our solid pours, and these are just really good wines. We have our casual sippers. These are enjoyable wines, but maybe not necessarily memorable. And then wines that are overvalued, low quality, undrinkable. These are wastes of your wines. And of course, we each have 3 spots in our coveted wine fridge for our 3 favorite wines of the year. All right, boys. So that being said, Colin, I'll go to you first. Just tell me any other final thoughts that you have on the White Cap and the Still Chill, and where you're gonna place both of these wines.
Yeah, I don't think too much has changed, honestly. They're still doing the same exact thing they've been doing since we've opened them. And they've even gotten, I don't have them on ice or anything. We've been talking for almost an hour now, and they still hold up. So, they don't have to be ice cold the entire time, which I think is really cool too. There's no love lost with a little bit of temperature change, which is awesome. As far as where I'm going to put these, Preston said wine for the life that you actually live, and you guys nailed it. I mean, this is just fun. It's interesting. It's enjoyable. I can see this just cracking open a can on any random day, whether you're at the pool or just sitting at home, honestly. For a glass and a half, it's the perfect amount. It's delicious. It's really well balanced. And honestly, for wine out of a can, I'm just shocked. I'm definitely one of those people who may be a little skeptical at first, even though we've had some really good experiences with wine in a can. It's still, we drink most of our wine out of bottles. So to see this level of wine coming out of cans is awesome. So both of these for me are absolute must shares.
Nice.
I think it's really enjoyable. You nailed what you were trying to do with it. And I could absolutely see myself picking these up any day of the week to just enjoy on the couch with my wife. If you see these out there, absolutely give them a try.
Amazing. Love it. Love it. All right, Aaron, I'll throw to you.
Yeah, I'm right there with Colin. I think there's two big things here that we're trying to look at, and one is like, is the wine good, and is the wine doing what it's trying to achieve? And yes, the wine's good, and thank you for that. Like, it's very good wine. I'm enjoying the heck out of it, and that's great. And that's awesome. And then I think the second thing, which is almost equally important in your case, is like, you're doing something really new and unique, and what you were trying to achieve is like making the wine accessible and manageable. And I really love the concept of like, I don't want to open a bottle that I can't finish and waste it. And the name of our show is Stop Wasting Your Wine, and that's literally what you're trying to achieve. So I have to make it a must share because you did what we're trying to do. So yeah, so absolutely, both these wines are absolute must shares. They're very tasty. They're delicious. You turned big red wines into porch pounders, and that's magic. And thank you.
That is
Awesome.
magic.
Thank you guys, man. Like, yeah, I appreciate the honest feedback, man. That means a lot. Thank you.
No, thank you, Preston. So cool. I'll tell you, I can't wait to get home and try these myself. Really looking forward to it. Listen, before we let you go, if you don't mind, we would love to play a quick game, if that's all right. All right, let's
Hell
do
yeah.
it.
Let's do it.
All right, and Aaron, I believe you came up with our game today. It is a version of one of our favorites, Pick Your Poison. So Aaron, take it away.
All right, Preston, I have a pick your poison for you. So I'm going to give you two scenarios, and I want you to choose which scenario you would rather deal with. All right. So
All right.
you have your wonderful canned wine, and you have two groups of people that I have challenged you to sell it to. Would you rather sell your canned wine to a group of very, of age, but, cheap college students, recently 21, or very snooty wine drinkers? Who are you trying to sell your wine to? Who's your better pitch? Pick your poison.
The snooty wine drinker, and I feel
Ooh.
I have like specific people in mind. I
Go.
won't name
Give
them.
us your sell. Let's go.
I
Let's
love
go.
that.
Yeah, no, it's very specific people. Yeah, and I think it's because the snooty people are like I've always had an issue with the snobbery of traditional wine culture. And I've done this before, like with Tirage, actually. So yeah, no, I think that would be it, man. The snooty wine consumer. Like I love nothing more than watching someone's perspective change in real time.
That's so cool.
And I think maybe a little bit of that is more like self-reflection, and maybe, couch and pay by the hour sense. Because, as you kind of go through your life journey and wine and all that stuff, you kind of go through these iterations of, what you like, in that moment, it comes and goes. was on call the other day. Like I get on these kicks, and sparkling is always there. But like about a year ago, I was really into like California Chardonnay, which was I found odd. Like it's fine, don't get me wrong. I mean, I much prefer like Chassagne Montrachet or something, but I think not everyone has kind of that pliability in their palate or that desire to branch out and try something different. That's kind of where that snobbery comes from, or they think it's like a social status. So I would definitely take the wine snob to pitch Tirage to, as opposed to like the college kid that have you guys ever shotgunned wine? I mean, I guess there's really not been a way until recently, right? Could you imagine though?
I mean, we played some slap the bag back in the day, which is
that is
probably
true.
as close as you get to shotgunning wine, but
not this.
No,
That's
not every
definitely where
can.
my mind went when you were talking about
But
Franzia.
now we're back to Franzia, full circle.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
it goes full circle, yeah.
Look how well we just wrapped this entire podcast.
Like life. Yeah.
yeah,
You start with
100%.
Franzia in college, and then when you mature and you're old enough, you get to move up to Tirage.
To Tirage.
That's
Yeah. That's right. I
Like a
love
rite of passage.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
See, that's another T-shirt.
I never thought about it in this sense, but it's like, oh shit, maybe we should do that. Like, I know the compliance for shipping T-shirts is going to be a hell of a lot easier than shipping wine.
I'm sure that's true. Yeah. Amazing. Awesome. I love that. Well, you're a man that likes a challenge, Preston. That's what I have learned throughout this conversation here too. One of many things I've learned. But hey, you have been so generous with your time and generous with your wine as well. Thank you for, sending that to us. Just such a cool experience. The Tirage Still Chill and White Cap across the board must share wines on the Stop Wasting Your Wine podcast. That's high praise right there. So Preston, last question for you. I mean, if listeners at home want to learn more about you, about Tirage, if they want to get their hands on it, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Yeah, check out the website. It's you say www anymore? I mean, I don't
You
know.
can.
Millennials, right?
you don't have to.
Yeah, no, check out the website, tiragewine.com. We're actually going to be launching our e-commerce kind of DTC platform in the next couple of
Cool.
weeks.
Oh, nice.
So we'll be able to ship to, I don't know, I think it's like 42 states. I don't know, wherever Vino
nice.
Shipper does.
That's great.
They handle the compliance here, so I don't have to stress about it and lose
That's
what
awesome.
little hair I have left. So yeah, that's where you can go check us out. Obviously we have Instagram, we have a TikTok. I'll admit I'm not the best about social media, but we're trying to get better at it. But the website's the place to go. We're going to be we're going to be better about email than we are social media. So that's where you can go get all your good information.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Love it, man. Well, again, just thank you so much for everything. This is such a cool conversation. Amazing wines. We're so grateful for your time. Aaron, if people want to hang out with us, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, check us out, stopwastingwine.com, Instagram at stopwastingyourwine, or send us an email at cheers@stopwastingyourwine if you want to connect, come on the show, or, feature your wine. We'd love to hear from you.
Well said. And thank you, listener. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us again for another episode. We really hope you enjoyed it. We sure did on this end. And looking forward to seeing you on next week's episode. And in the meantime, just remember, stop wasting your wine.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.